Hello, hello, hello. We are here. I am excited to be here with you today. We're switching it up just a little bit. So we have one big thing to talk about. I'm not going to keep you here super long, but it's something really important. And you might be like, Dr. Ericka, why is this important? Or why are you even talking about this? Well, there have been so many conversations that have been coming up. And actually, earlier today, I was on Clubhouse. I admitted I was on Clubhouse, and there was this whole conversation around trauma, especially in the Black community. And it really brought home to me thinking about something that I've really had a strong epiphany with when it comes to dealing with my patients recently, when it comes to trauma. And the one thread that I've seen that is going through all of them, and the thing that is just really holding them back and causing such high levels of impairment. And I wanted to come in today and share it with you. So that's what I'm doing today. We are going to share. So really quickly, quick housekeeping tips is if you know someone that needs this message, please tag them. The next thing, if you know someone that needs it, you can share. Sharing is caring. The third thing is if you're watching it later, put hashtag replay in the comments. No worries. Just stick it in there and I'll get back to you. Let me know how you're doing. That would be lovely. Let me go ahead and get started. So I am Dr. Ericka, double board certified and Harvard trained psychiatrist and integrative lifestyle coach. I am irrationally passionate about helping people be better so they can do better and ultimately live better. I do that through my telepsychiatry, also my book, including Fix Your Fairy Tale, A Woman's Guide to a Great Life, Love, and Legacy, along with speaking. My superpower is making mental health practical so I can help people live the life that they were created for, that life that they truly deserve. And who doesn't want to have that version of life? So some myths that people say is that everybody goes through stuff. You just got to take care of it, keep moving, push through it. What happened to so-and-so was worse. And in reality, there's no way to quantify one trauma versus another. There are some that subjectively someone might be like, oh, that's bigger. But still, if someone has had a traumatic experience, it's a personal experience and can significantly impact them. And there are times where people experience trauma and they're resilient and somehow they can just move through. And there are times where it becomes more stifling. And there are times where people have difficulties from their trauma experiences, but don't necessarily develop full-fledged PTSD. So one of the reasons we're talking about this, beyond the fact that I know it's a lot out there because I see it all the time, and not even just in my practice, but even through themes, watching TV and movies, watching the news, conversations that I have with people one-on-one, conversations that I hear in groups, conversations or things I see on social media or on the web. And it's obvious that it is everywhere. And actually $671 billion a year are lost when it comes to healthcare and loss of productivity. $671 billion. Isn't that a lot of money? The other thing is 70% of adults in the United States have experienced a traumatic experience. Now, these statistics came out pre-pandemic. And one thing we do know is the experience of the pandemic has been traumatic for a lot of people. And then add on just the ramping up levels of racial injustice. And that's been extremely traumatic. So let's talk about what is this one colossal reason unchecked trauma is so destructive. Well, the first thing is we have to talk, there's a high impact belief that causes this huge consequence. And it's this belief that the world is not safe. And when people experience trauma, then a lot of times they feel like the world isn't safe or the environment isn't safe or people aren't safe. It depends on the trauma of what comes first, the chicken or the egg. But a lot of times it's either the environment isn't safe or people aren't safe, and then it just scooches out to people aren't safe and the world isn't safe. And what happens when people have these beliefs is that it causes this huge destructive consequence that people are unable to connect. Now, I'm not talking about just the introvert who prefers to be more introspective, just kind of think and kind of parcel out their social interactions. I'm talking about this inability to connect with others. So a lot of times when people experience significant trauma, then it's difficult to form healthy interpersonal relationships. I actually even see in some of my patients where they just don't want to have relationships. And I'm not talking about just romantic relationships. They don't want to deal with people. They don't want to talk to people. They don't want to interact with people. They are isolated. And these levels of isolation from feeling the world is unsafe are amplified in times like these where there's a pandemic out there. So there's some reality based feelings that some things just aren't safe. And then on top of it, that ramping up levels of racial injustice that are currently being underscored with the differential treatment of people with this capital insurrection is that people are feeling more and more either traumatized or triggered by current events or are feeling new traumas because these experiences are making them feel traumatized. When you already have a reason that you are going to be has some level of potential isolation with this pandemic, you add that on top of having trauma experiences that make it difficult for you to either want to connect or be able to connect, that increases isolation. And one of the hugest things that I've seen this rob people of is the ability to have quality relationships. And that even includes, I see this oftentimes, people may have spouses or have children, and this inability to connect and form healthy relationships extends out to their family where they can't connect with their family, even if they're married or have children. And to me, that's a huge thing that people are robbed from, because one of the biggest joys and meanings of life are to be able to be of service. There's a book by Taylor Hartman called The Color Code, and they actually talked about kind of the highest level of when you become involved is when you're able to serve. And it's difficult to do these things if you can't connect to people. So that's one of the reasons I just want to say it's huge to actually not let trauma go unchecked and to actually work through trauma. Some people can work through it and use interventions that aren't necessarily seeing a mental health person. And some people actually need one. And I think one of the hugest things, and I brought this up actually when I was on Clubhouse today, is that one of the ways we end up unintentionally robbing ourselves of time and years is struggling with things on our own when someone could have helped us. And that's one of the things that hurts my heart to its soul, is seeing people struggle unnecessarily with mental health issues, especially trauma, when if they could get some help, they could feel better and then be able to feel like their life is more meaningful and more enjoyable and to have more quality relationships. So we're gonna do a quick review, then I'm gonna get you out of there. If you know somebody that needs this, tag them. If you know someone that needs it, share. Sharing is caring. The last thing is put hashtag replay in the comments if you are watching it later. So we're gonna do the quick recap of one colossal reason unchecked trauma is destructive. So the main thing is that there is a common belief that extremely high impact, that the world is not safe. And these beliefs extend to people. Sometimes it's people aren't safe. Sometimes it's their environment, or the world isn't safe. And a lot of times then it generalizes to the world isn't safe, even if it started out with certain types of people, a certain person, or a certain environment. And the destructive consequence is then that the person that is traumatized is unable to connect. So they're unable to connect to others. They're unable to have healthy relationships. They may not even want to deal with people at all. It impacts their ability to connect, even if they have children or their family, to their family, their spouses, their children. And in addition to that, then naturally, if you have difficulty with a lot of interpersonal relationships and with social interactions, that even if you look at work, there are only a handful of professions that you can have and never interact with anybody. So this also can significantly impact someone's ability to function in a career or vocationally, and also to earn money. So those are huge consequences. So I just wanted to share that because I want people to be aware of some of these things so you can keep an eye on it and keep it in check. And then if it's to a point where you feel like you can't manage it, or it's too much to manage, or it's bleeding into your life, that then you can come see someone like me and get some help, because that's what we're here for. That's what I'm here for. And I just want to encourage you, if you feel overwhelmed or like it's too much, or you're snapping like people, you're not feeling like yourself, or you just feel like you can't get safe, then try one of us out. And I think we talked about it. I have, complimentary consultations, and I only see adults right now in my practice. But I just want to encourage people to explore that. So I'll be back on tomorrow night at 7. I'm looking forward to seeing you. Also, the other thing is I have my vision board challenge is coming up on Monday. So I would love for you to register. It's going to be a great experience. I'll come in live into my group Butterflies with Dr. Ericka at 7 each night of the challenge. There'll be a thing to do during the day. There's a phenomenal workbook. And I know for sure if you start this, you can actually finish it. We're doing it 5 days. It's actually bonus days, so you can do the bonus 6 if you want to go ahead and not only get it done, but to learn how to make it work for you, because I want you to get the best and get each little ounce out of your life. And I want you to be able to be better so you can do better and live better. So part of living better is taking care of issues such as trauma. But the other thing is doing things like vision boards to help you with mindset and to visualize and see where you really want to go and get clarity. So again, you can go to visualize21.com, visualize21.com. So glad to be here. So happy to have you. You have your usual prescription. Call at least one person and tell them you love them. Good night.